Welcome to Wild. I'm your host, Robin Lavasser. They say our biggest fear is not that we are inadequate. It's being powerful beyond measure. In this podcast, I will share how to break through imaginary ceilings, lean into success, discovering your purpose, and understanding how to create the business and life of your dreams. From failures to triumphs and all the tactics in between, let's jump into the wild arena together. Welcome back to Wild with Robin Lavasser. Does your business have contingency plans? And that's really not a don't execute plan A. It's saying if things go wrong, do you have things in place to fill the gaps when things are hard? One of my favorite books talks about Disneyland and how good they are at green lights versus red lights. And let's just talk about that for a minute. Disneyland in general is such a great example of business. You could study it 100 different ways, probably 1,000 different ways, if I'm being honest, and all the things, the thoughtfulness that goes into all things Disney. One of the things that they do very well is they create green lights, if you will. And another great book, Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights, such a good book. But when Matthew McConaughey talks about it, he talks about there are plenty of things that are red in life. And then there's these moments that give you green light. And that means go, you're smiling. Everybody's happy to see the green light, right? Everybody's happy to start making forward progress again in the world where there are red lights all over the place, and or we would call red almost a frustrating moment. Nobody loves to sit at a stoplight. Think of that analogy. In Disney, it's such an interesting concept when you think about business. You're at Disneyland. And when you get there, booking the tickets, doing everything online, that's all a bit of a red light. But anticipation and excitement to go to Disney is a green light. Walking through the gates, the lines could be so long getting in to the front doors of Disneyland. Never been to Disney World, so I'm going to use the Disneyland example. But you walk in and immediately start to see Main Street if you're coming in the front way. And there are multiple picture opportunities right out of the gate for you to capture you and your family, right? And then immediately to the left, there are restrooms right over there. There is little places to buy a couple things, souvenirs and things, and there's food, all within the first 50 yards of walking into Disneyland. Why? Because green lights, because they need things that say green light. There's garbage cans, right? There's all the things that maybe you were missing while you were standing outside in line. You were frustrated. Oh, we're off to the races. And you immediately get caught up in the magic again. When you're standing in line for some of these rides, an hour and 30 minutes, right? It's insane what you do to stand in line. But the moment you get through and you get on the actual ride, you come off smiling, happy, excited, glad you took the ride. And then you go left, you go right, you can have food, you can immediately head to the next stop, and it's all a green light. You could see characters along the way. There's so many things that they create in the business for the hard moments that they know that are going to exist. Kids in meltdown, too hot of a day, too cold of a day. There's rain ponchos out when it's raining. There's extra water stations when it's hot outside. There's pathways to get to your next stop. There's places at your next stop that allow for you to run over really quickly, use restrooms, go to go get something to eat. They do that on purpose. The entire thing was thought out, understanding that they can't prevent all the red lights that come with Disney, but they can create enough green lights that you still absolutely loved, even though there's probably 80% more stress than there is joy in a lot of things Disney, you still come out believing that it was all joyful. Why? Because you create moments where everybody was on the ride and they're cracking up, right? Like moments that everybody goes, oh, this happened and this, and my stomach dropped and I'm having fun and that was laughable and I beat you at the Toy Story Mania and whatever was going on. There's enough green. Here's what's interesting. I think sometimes we try to set our businesses up to say there should never be any red. And it's just not true. There's red in our businesses all the time. There's red in life all the time, right? Incredible thing to own a home. Wonderful thing to have your own place that you are building wealth with. Got to do yard work. Got to put a roof on. Those are red lights, right? Dishwasher breaks, it's on you, red light. However, getting a brand new dishwasher, green light, right? Having a dishwasher, maybe not having to hand wash dishes, green light. Having your own laundry facilities, green light. Washer breaking, red light, right? Life is full of them. So why do we work so hard in both real estate and lending sometimes to act as if there are no red lights? There are red lights all over the place. In fact, are never going to go away. So how do we work through them? How do we make sure that people know? Disneyland has an app that says, oh, it's going to take this long for you to ride this ride. They're aware of it, but they're also nearby. Here are sweet treats. Here's this, here's this, here's this, right? There's opportunities for you to do other things and then also go get in line, right? Or enjoy the inline experience. No different than our world, right? There is stress all over the place. And I went to this restaurant and it really made me think of this podcast episode. This is such a small thing, but if you're really, really in business, you often start to notice and recognize things that are well done in customer service. Maybe it's an age thing, I'm not sure. And then things that are not well done. We were at a restaurant the other night, the team and I up in Spokane, Washington. Great restaurant. I'd never been there. Great atmosphere. It was a beautiful night. We're all sitting there. The dinner is taking a lot longer than any of us anticipated. The dinner is taking a lot longer. And we're sitting there talking. And here's what's really funny. Because we're all talking and getting to know each other, I hadn't met a lot of the team. I didn't even notice how long things were taking. And I don't think anybody else really did. We might have in our head, but nobody was like outwardly complaining. And all of a sudden, the waitress walked up and she said, hey guys, everything's going a little slower tonight than we anticipated. Here's some French fries on the house. They were like truffle fries. It was a nice restaurant with dips. And she brought a few for the table. No questions asked, on us. Here's some food. We hadn't even gotten up and checked on our food. We hadn't complained yet, which made the fries 10 times nicer because they were unexpected treats. Unexpected treats in what was becoming definitely a red light, not a siren, but a red light. Now imagine normally when you sit at a restaurant, and imagine this metaphorically in your business, and things take a really long time and nobody says anything, and eventually your food comes out, but you're hangry and your conversation has shifted from maybe a nice conversation talking with everybody at the table to every person complaining about how long it's taking and how they're starving. What's interesting is those fries came right as everybody after she walked away went, oh my gosh, I'm so glad. I was wondering why it was taking so long. I'm starving. People started to say that after, but joyfully, because they were munching on the fries. Everybody's sitting there talking about it. And we talked about what a great metaphor it is for business. The thing is, there are red lights all over lending. Your appraisal could take a long time, right? It's a process. Getting your home inspection, reviewing everything, hearing back from the seller on an offer, waiting for the underwriter to sign off of conditions or give you your initial loan approval, collecting documents, waiting on an insurance binder. It doesn't matter if you're a team member, the loan officer, the actual client, the realtor, there are red lights all over the place. Now, people anticipate, hey, this is going to take a certain amount of time as long as you've done a great job mapping out your process to them. It takes this long to get your pre-approval letter. The next steps are, right? If they anticipate. But the moment it goes a little longer, which for sure you guys is going to happen in every single one of our businesses, you have to have contingency plans. If we have extra stress, I would have family Cinemark passes, basically, which is the best theater here in town, to give them, hey, I know it's been a little crazy week and we asked you for some extra stuff. Here's 5 passes for you and your kids to go see a movie. Hey, I know that you're probably packing boxes and your kitchen is ready to go and it sounds like we're going to run a week behind because of the appraisal. Here is pizza and something else for the week, right? Like here are some green lights. Here are some contingency plans to say things aren't going exactly as I expected, but here's a little extra from me saying I acknowledge it. I'm not doing nothing about it. And I'm also trying to keep you comfortable while we wait, right? I'm keeping you happy while we wait. Communication can do that, but a little extra something goes a really long way in your business. So sit down for a minute, identify some of the places that maybe have unavoidable waits, do a better job of upfront explaining them and disclosing them to people, but then also a better job of figuring out, hey, if this goes even remotely after that, or maybe just because I'm going to fill the gap right now with some little sweet treat that makes somebody go, yes, I was starving. Yes, I was feeling a little bit agitated. Yes, this feels like it's taking a long time, but how thoughtful. What a nice gesture to bring the fries out and put them on the table, to anticipate the need before it became a complaint. And now all of a sudden I've de-escalated the clients, right? I've shown great customer service. The gap was still there, but it got filled with something because I anticipated, because I had a contingency in place ready to go. Build those out in your business. And I promise you, you will give people an experience that even in the hard moments, they won't ever forget. If this was helpful, I hope you share it. We'll see you on the next Wild.